Back to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we speak to agencies, technology partners, and consultants in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends that impact a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, enhance engagement, and most importantly, to impact customer loyalty in a positive manner. Loyalty Live allows for deeper assessment and insight into the state of customer loyalty as we surface a number of challenges from the brand marketers who are members of Loyalty360 about what they are seeing in the market. And these sessions allow for a driven response to them as we get to speak with these agencies, technology partners, consultants to truly address some of the challenges that we're seeing. And today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Jonathan Silver. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Engage People. How are you today?
Appreciate your time today, and it's nice to chat with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for taking the time. First off, we like to start these on a more personal level, so I'd love to know a little bit more about you, your background, and your current role with Engage People.
So yes, I'm CEO of Engage. We are a loyalty technology company focused on enabling people in loyalty programs to use their points as a form of payment directly at retail. And so we're building out a network of both clients and retailers where our vision is that every time you go and engage with a retailer or a point of distribution, you have the ability to pay with your points as well. So really are all about democratizing your loyalty currencies, and regardless of whether it's from your credit card or your even from your sales incentive employee channel, we're really agnostic to that as well. And so my role Engage is strategy and direction, and we've got a really good team of people, employees, and team members to help drive this company forward. So it's an exciting time to be because it's a new market that's growing. We're finally seeing what we call the tipping point, where retailers are more engaged in looking at getting access to billions of dollars worth of unused points, and our clients are seeing the value and the driving of member engagement, and we're driving better member engagement and lower cost. So it's an exciting time to be playing in this nexus that we're playing in today.
Absolutely. There's kind of a growing list of brands who are looking to either offset some point liabilities in the programs or creating unique engagement opportunities from partnerships, right? So having a more consistent engagement paradigm for the program early and often is better. So sweepstakes or ability to redeem for other people, other brands' points, or kind of unique partnership opportunities, which I think you do a great job of facilitating, is definitely a big trend that we're seeing within the industry.
No, that we're seeing it as well. So like I said, exciting time to be playing in the space, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a fun fact, is there a passion you have outside of work? Something that you love doing? 10 kids, love to parasail?
You know what? At this point, it's fun fact. I've been doing this for 35 years, so it's all I know. So my only fear in life is that loyalty disappears because I've had no value to the world. Other than that, it's kids, cycling, soccer, tennis, to stay active, and family stuff, right? Oh, and travel at any given opportunity I can. There are places in the world I haven't been to yet, and I need to go and see them.
Okay, good. For those people who may not be familiar with Engage People, can you give us a brief background overview, what your company does? I think you touched on a little bit, what industries you work in.
Yeah, sure. So with two sides of Engage, we have our loyalty management software product, which is called Podium, and we have our payments network called Access Plus. And so our Podium is, a typical loyalty management software platform. It's incredibly robust. It's everything from front-end member engagement to points bank score engine, member communications, and the power of it and the value of it is the ability to create real-time segments and deploy promotions to any segment in real time with no IT resources. And so it allows us to say, hey, clients trying to drive incremental spend on a card, find a group of customers we want to do a test with, deploy an offer, and reward them accordingly in real time. And so that is the one side of the business. The other side is the network we were talking about. And so about 6-7 years ago, we, my co-founder and myself, had this idea of how do we build out payments network. Seemed really simple at the time, but when you realize that you don't have any customers and you don't have any partners, You've got to start from scratch somewhere. And so it was a slog to get going. But right now we have the velocity on the network, both on the client side and on the partner side. And what it does is we normalize clients' data coming in to a retailer. We normalize from a retailer back to a customer. So any retailer that integrates with us gets access to all our clients. And for all of our clients, every time we add a new retailer, they get access to them without having to do any coding on their side. Every time we add a new client, the retailer just says, hey, I'll take them or not. And so, we kind of have this vision of how do we become the MasterCard multi-pods.
Okay, great.
And that part of the business is growing exponentially. Great partners on both sides as well.
Okay, good to hear. Yeah, I know you guys are doing some very unique things, and obviously looking forward to learning more throughout this year with what you guys are doing with. Next question. We talk to brands, talk to suppliers, talk to people in tech. We always like to get an understanding of how they're defining things from a qualitative perspective. So, customer loyalty, how do you define customer loyalty? What does it mean to your organizations? What is it to the brands that you are serving?
So the majority of our clients are financial institutions today. And it's their credit card loyalty program. So for us, it's very much about being front of wallet. So, loyalty is when I have a choice of which payment to use, our client, as well as create emotional attachment and engagement with that card. And so, for us, it's, if I think about, if I've got a travel credit card and I'm going on and I'm traveling and I get to the airport and I tap my card and I'm, we're saying, I buy the $10 bottle of water at the airport and it says, hey, Amanda, do you want to use your points for that transaction? And suddenly you're surprised and delighted and enhance that memory in a way that they didn't expect. And so all of that drives a higher emotional engagement and a higher connection back to the program. And so, for us, when we look at our clients, it's, hey, are people spending more on their card? Are they redeeming more? And are you getting a bigger share of wallet from them? And so we do measure that impact, and we actually have seen about, we've seen about a 6 times engagement from members who have redeemed in store with us to those who haven't. So we actually see an increase in spend of 15 to 20%, increase in frequency of redemption, and higher utilization of the card, which is what we care most about.
Okay, excellent. When you look at the clients you work with, you obviously have a kind of array of great financial partners and also marketers and brands. What is working right now with regard to customer loyalty, customer experience? What's driving results? What are you seeing within the industry?
So, and I'm going to keep harping on Access Plus because the impact of it, so I'll tell you, so when we launched our first client on it, we launched them on Amazon. So the ability to use your points on Amazon at checkout was the first partner we launched. We had of what uptake we would get. The client had an expectation, and so did Amazon. And we had about a 6 times uptake from what we'd expected. And it hasn't changed. Through COVID, through today, as we have more partners, we are seeing this engagement stick. What we're realizing is that the ability for people to engage with the program more frequently. So if you think about it in a typical credit card on a travel side, I would redeem every 2 years, every 3 years. Now that we're supplementing this with an increase in frequency, we're seeing a better engagement, higher retention rates, higher spend. So for us, when we talk about loyalty strategies now, it's how do we draw that connection and that emotional engagement, increase the frequency without increasing costs and devaluing the value of the points. In our world, we've kept the value of the points constant. And so we are driving a better engagement without impacting the cost structure of the program.
Okay, excellent. When you look at kind of the state of customer loyalty, we did a paper last fall, brand paper, November, December, and one paper we also hear in kind of the data operations is that brands are looking to add value to the program, do their program from a strategy perspective, most likely because a lot of times brands, as you know, are hooked into a long-term agreement from their CRM, CX provider. Is that something you're seeing, brands looking to relaunch or update or enhance their programs?
So it's interesting what we see from our retail partners, right? In that, if you think where we come in, they will have their own loyalty program today. And we'll come along and go, hey, we can supplement that by allowing a non-competitive partner to redeem their points in your store. And when the light bulb clicks, they're like, oh, I can use your system as a customer, as a cost-effective customer acquisition tool, and now allow me to engage with new customers. And so when we think about it, the problem you've got is when people think about their CRM and their infrastructure, it's expensive to change that.
Yep.
And so anything we can do to help a brand drive new member engagement and new loyalty in a cost-effective manner, right? And that now extends back now to taking offers from that brand into our client base as well. So whether it's a card-linked offer or just a straight offer, and we're now enabling a lower cost member acquisition, increase, but not moving away and taking away anything from the value creation the money they've put into creating their own loyalty program. And so it's incredibly beneficial from that. And then as it relates to their own loyalty programs, you can't move away from that infrastructure. Like, it's too expensive. And so it's all about, can you segment and can you put offers that are more valuable or more relevant to each individual? And data is allowing us to do more and more of that, right? And then partnerships, right? How do you drive better partnerships to drive better results at a lower cost?
Absolutely. Okay. That's a very comprehensive approach. I think that you're hitting on a number of the challenges that brands have from a partnership perspective, from enabling that through technology is very important, because brands struggle with those as well.
And one of the values from us to bring to a brand on the partnership side is you have access to all of our clients with one piece of tech integration. And so in addition to just the spend, you also now have access to run promotions and to run campaigns without any IT infrastructure costs and much lower marketing costs. And so, it really does have the value proposition of those partnerships.
Absolutely. When you look at programs, there's a belief that there's this kind of quote unquote sequence, that programs are very similar in how they're constructed from value proposition and perception of the client. Is this something that you are seeing or have seen? And if so, how can brands address this?
We do see it, and a lot of it is around position. The challenge is, I'm going to reward you for coming into, think about if you're a retailer, right? I'm going to reward you for coming in. I want to reward you for increasing your spend. If I'm a vertical retailer, I really don't have other, if I'm Kroger, you mentioned Kroger before, I can get my P&G, my packaged goods companies to help co-fund and sponsor stuff. Vertical, I don't have that. So, what can I do to make your life more interesting? And so we see differentiators around forms of payment, if it's BNPL coming in, where there's ability to take other people's points, currencies, to take crypto, whatever it is, and just find ways of enhancing it easier for them transact. So a lot more digital and ease and stuff like that. And then you got to get people hooked into your ecosystem, because technology is changing so rapidly, and people are being able to do stuff differently and quicker. We are getting to a little bit more homogenous offerings, so it comes down to relevancy and emotional connection then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at trends or ideas or technologies that you believe can help address kind of the sameness or even differentiate offerings, are there things that you're seeing, or is there a trend or kind of a technology or an idea that you think help brands differentiate their offering?
So I think, I think alternate forms of payment is important. And we saw the impact. Like, think back when Apple Pay and Google Pay and Samsung Pay came out, everyone made fun of them. Now you walk into a store, someone paying with their phone is just normal, right? So making it much easier for a member to engage, whether it's inside of your app, your mobile app, taking other forms of payment. We're seeing a lot of impact from integrating BNPL into checkout, making a difference. And then it comes down to how do you use your data effectively to drive a member experience that's relevant to them. Because everyone's, we're talking about, before we got on board, we're talking a little about, is this recession coming? And if people are pulling back, how do you find out what's important to me as an individual and put an offer in front of me that'll let me come in, right? And you and I may have very different drivers. And so identifying on the data and the data patterns to do. And then partnerships. If you think about the ability with technology today to run a partnership with another brand without having to create a full coalition in the marketplace is available. And so how do you get two brands to go, hey, we've got similar customer bases, we're not competitive. How do we cross-sell and grow each of our pie and to get people loyal to our network without having to build a full coalition?
Absolutely, yep. And I think that there is, you see that in Canada, right? One of our members, Scene Plus, I think is doing a very unique job of pulling together kind of the right partners in a program that's not completely coalition, right? And one of the things we hear from a partner perspective is brand. We actually have a group that meets every 3 months on partnerships, sometimes 2. But brands want to have a kind of a smaller list of partners, not just hugely differentiated partner group that may not actually be what the client is looking for, the customers are looking for, right? So I think there's a lot of power in kind of simplicity and also in less choice.
And the problem with Canada for the US is Canada has a lot of national retailers, smaller population, 40 million people. And so it's easier to do what Scene is doing in Canada. When you look at the US, brands don't have perfect geography with each other.
Yep.
And so the ability to create short-term partnerships, and how every 2 years, it doesn't make a difference, but not having to do a coalition and hope the coalition works. Technology is allowing you to do that today effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Good point.
And so, I think when I think about the US market, we look at what partnerships make sense and how do we do that without having to do this massive integration, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely. I think the integration is a huge part. But some industries, like fuel being one, they usually have to do, because of the regulation, right? They tend to have, at least in the U.S., they have to do kind of a bigger partnership. So that integration, that assessment can be a little more challenging to see if it's advantageous for both brands.
Yeah, and look, we don't do much which is brand to brand. Like retailer to retailer, but we do a lot between retailer and points bank.
Yep.
And so when we do an integration, it's, hey, you're going to run a promotion between retailer A and bank B for the next 3 months. And we're going to, give incremental value, whatever it is, don't really matter, don't care whether it's a card linked offer or if it's a value in your points or just a marketing campaign. We do that without having to rebuild the tech stack every time.
Absolutely. Okay.
So
next question, when you look at a brand who may be looking to enhance their customer experience strategies, is there one piece of advice you would suggest that they could or should consider to increase efficacy?
Yeah, everybody knows it now, right? We just keep it easy, right? We're inundated with so much as consumers. If you're going to want me to download your app, there better be a reason for it, right? Like, not just to get offers. Like, there has to be. If you're asking me to as a consumer, to make a commitment of whether it's my time, my energy, my data, make sure the value proposition coming back to me is equal or better. And it's a hard thing to do when you think about, as a retailer, you've got millions of customers and that what valuable each one is different. And so it's creating the right value propositions back to each segment. But don't, a lot of these people go, well, we launched an app and no one's using it. I'm like, well, why? Well, why would they use it, right? There's a gas company in Canada has their app, and I had to download it to do something. And I'm like, well, that was a waste of my life and time, and now I installed it. There's no value proposition in it, right? Flip side is if you spam me, I'm going to have the out as well. So getting the frequency right, consumers as much, control over the frequency and the type helps as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think creating that simplicity and being able to personalize is and being a steward of the data, the content, the offers is very important, and being able to enable that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I think the ones who get it right will win, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The last question, what can Loyalty360 do as an association to help you and your team and others who are focused on customer loyalty and customer experience in their journeys?
I think we've touched on it, right? Which is the partnership approach, right? You guys are the central of this. So you're talking to everybody, and those partnership and relationships have value, right? And understanding that, and for all of us involved in this, not just you guys, but everyone involved, knowing that I can do a 1 + 1 and get to 3 is massive. And anything we can do to reduce that friction or the cost of those relationships, to getting them going, is massive for everybody, right? And it's about value proposition and not wasting each other's time, right? So you guys are the arbiter of understanding what's valuable to each and everybody around you, and from a brand and from a partner and loyalty program provider, that's enormously valuable.
Absolutely, makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think it's obviously great to be able to speak with the brands, understand what they're doing and seeing, but also understanding what technologies they're looking at, have an interest in, and understanding kind of where that synergy lies, where that, and it's interesting. Hopefully, we can continue to build out both sides and create more of those partnership opportunities for everyone.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we only know what we know, right? And we don't know what we don't know yet. Anything that helps expedite that is hugely beneficial, right?
Absolutely, yeah, perfect. Well, I think this has been a great interview, John. Taking the time, it was great to hear more about Podium and the loyalty offering, but also I think from a partnership perspective, from a payment perspective, you guys are doing some things that are very unique as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk today.
I appreciate your time today as well. Pleasure talking to you and seeing you again.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for listening to our interview today, a Loyalty Live session. Make sure you join us back for another edition of Loyalty Live coming up soon, and have a wonderful day.